And I'm live. Y'all are all on YouTube. I'm showing y'all how YouTube works. I just feel like I need to take a minute and breathe. How are y'all? I'm actually in a hurry. I have to go to a school today, or I think it's a school. Yeah. I got to go to a school today, and I have to travel 2 hours to get to it. So, needless to say, I had to jump out of the bed this morning, go do Larry, run outside, go do all my farm chores. I was recording at the same time I was letting out animals, and because I didn't want to skip my live. So I have to leave my house at least by 8:30, but I've already done all my farm chores. So after my live, all I have to do is scoop up the animals, put them in the car, and head to Anniston is where I'm going. And it's about, like I said, a 2-hour drive. I have a caregiver coming in for Larry. Hospice is coming today. So I told Shane, sometimes I just wonder, how do I do what I do? Because I've been really busy all weekend. My son had that performance this weekend. He had it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I am the type of mom that is very, very, very supportive of both of my children. Always have been. Like, for example, today I want to talk about motherhood. So I remember when Vanson was, I want to say he was in 6th grade. He wanted to be a marine biologist. So Judy starts figuring out how her son's going to become a marine biologist. And I sent him to camp in Gulf Shores, and it was a marine biology camp because if he's going to be a marine biologist, I was going to start at a young age to teach him how to be a marine biologist. And he decided really quickly that he didn't want to do that. And I thought it's important because you know how kids go to college and they're like, I want to be a teacher. And then they go for the first 2 years and then they want to change their major. And I was like, I don't want that to happen. So I want him to know ahead of time what he's good at, what he wants to do, and so forth. Corbin, my oldest son, from the time he was in 10th grade, he said, I want to be a welder. And he never changed his mind. Vanson was kind of all over the map with what he wanted to do when he grew up. But Corbin, I'm going to be a welder. And he never he's a welder to this day. He just kind of knew what he wanted to do. And but with both my children, I was like, I wanted to educate. Well, Corbin, there was a program at school where he went to welding class every day for 2 years. So I didn't really worry about getting him training because I knew he was getting training in school. And Corbin, when he was a senior in high school, they had competitions. And the first competition, he didn't win anything. And then the second competition, I think he won 2nd place. So he won all kinds of prizes, and he won a scholarship to a welding college. And then he went to another competition And the competition was in Jacksonville, Florida. And I remember traveling there to go watch him compete. And he won, like, I can't remember if it was second or third place out of all the states. Like, he killed it. And he ended up getting 75% of his college paid for because he won that competition. It was incredible. And um, I remember they came and told me and Corbin's dad before they announced it. So we knew he won before he did. And I can remember sitting, I mean, there's a gazillion people there and the parents watching and waiting to see who the winner what is in the competition. And I can remember Corbin's dad and I standing there knowing that our son won. And Corbin had no idea he had won. I mean, he thought he didn't, he was just like, oh, they're better than me. And I can remember standing there as they were going fifth place, fourth place, third place. And then when it got to him, they were like, and from Clay, Alabama, Corbin Clinton. And he stood there going, I won. And I remember as a parent, it was like, I was so proud. I thought, I've screwed up my whole life. I've made so many mistakes my whole entire life. I mean, I have been just, as an adult, you go back and think about the things that you've done as a teenager and things you did in college, and you're like, oh Lord, if they do that, they'd die. Think about all the things you did as a train wreck, the things that you had been through. And I look at both of my children and I'm like, I've screwed up a lot in life. I have totally screwed up a lot in life. But when it comes to my children, that is the biggest accomplishment I think I've ever been through. I mean, to sit there and watch Vanson on stage and Corbin and the career that he's in, I'm like, I must have done something right. Like, you know what I mean? I must have done something right because I got some good kids, and this weekend, Vanson's been in a gazillion performances. I mean, he has. I don't know. I can't even tell you all the plays that he's been in since 8th grade. A lot. And he's always, not always had a lead role, but like majority of the time Vanson is a lead in the show. He has been in some where he wasn't, but for the most part, Vanson's usually top of the cast. And I've never seen him play the role of a woman, especially an old woman, being mean to children. I wanted to spank his butt up on stage for being so ugly to those kids. And I was sitting there and watching him, and I was like, my kids are so talented. And I sent Corbin and Vanson's dad a message. We've not had the best of a relationship, let's just say. He's not been my biggest go-to person, let's just say that. But as a grandkid approaches, I'm like, let me just say this. And probably 95% of you are going to go, no, I haven't. But have you ever hated someone? Like truly hated them? hate is a terrible word. It is horrible. You're not supposed to hate. But I had hate in my heart for the longest time. And I would go to counseling and go, I've got to get over this hate. And I would get over it. And then he'd do something again and I'd hate him all over again. I'm going to hell. Like, I'm straight up going to hell because I can't stop hating him. I cannot. And it wasn't, I just didn't agree with him ever. And now that my kids are grown and I don't really have to deal with him, I'm like, Judy, you got a grandkid coming. You've got to learn how to put your differences aside. This is going to be your grandkid's grandfather. Like, you can't be bashing him. You've got to be kind, Judy. And so I really am trying hard. I'm really trying hard. Really. And I want to go, dude, don't jack up again. I'm trying not to hate you. So please just act right so I don't hate you all over again. But it's my problem. It's me. It's me. And I'm trying to fix the hate in my heart. I really am. So not that I have to be BFF, but I'm really trying hard to be different. I'm trying hard. So, I sent him a message and I said, our kids are so talented. Both of them are so talented. Shane has often told me how Corbin is so talented welding. He was like, Corbin is really good, Judy. And of course, I don't know. I don't know anything about welding. But with Vanson being in this show this weekend, I've just never seen him get out of his comfort zone and perform. Normally, the role that he's in is like his element, like the vocals are in his range. He just fits the part perfect. But like when it came to this particular role, and I'm going to tell you how dedicated my son is to theater. He's in graduate school, okay? He was supposed to walk, I think in July or August, like next month. And he called me on the phone and he said, Mom, I'm finished with school. He's finished with all his classes, but in graduate school, you have to write a thesis to get your actual degree. Okay. So he's like, Mom, I'm finished with all my classes, but I can put off doing my thesis. His thesis, and I hope I get this right, is a 45-page thesis that he has to write before he actually walks. So he said, Mother, there's this show that I really want to audition for. But if I audition for it, I'm going to have a lot of practices to go to, rehearsals. I got to get the wording right. I have a lot of rehearsals to go to, and I'm not going to be able to concentrate on a 45-page thesis on top of being in this show. And I was like, okay, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, I can walk in December if I get cast in the show. Whatever, do what you want to do. You know what I mean? It's your life. And so he auditioned and put off graduating for this one show. And when he told me what he was auditioning for, he said, Mom, it's this old woman that's mean to the kids. And I was like, that's weird. Like, he's never auditioned for anything like that. But see, Vanson, how do I put Vanson? Vanson's a butthole. It's just, Vanson is a debater. He will debate with you and he will try to get you to think like him and he will not stop. Vanson should have been a lawyer. Vanson would be a fantastic lawyer. He would. He would win every single case because when he was young, he was in debate. And he used to go to competitions and all that stuff, but when there's certain things that he's very passionate about. He is very passionate about Black Lives Matter. He looks at when he looks out and sees how the Black community is treated differently, he will go to battle. If anybody around him was to discriminate, he will flip his lid and rip you a new one. He is very passionate about standing up for other people. If anybody was to make fun of someone, you better not make fun of somebody in front of him, because he's the type of person that will stand up for what he believes. And when it comes to the presidential election, he should be on, I don't know, the politician, what is it called, campaign, because he would he would go to battle for what he believes. He's very passionate about it. And he's very knowledgeable. He's a very smart kid. He does his homework. When he gets into a debate, he knows what he's talking about. And if you haven't done all your homework and you get in a debate with him, oh, you're going down. You're going down. Because he has done his research and he's very knowledgeable in what he's debating about. And he's very passionate. So when he told me that he was going to have to be a butthole, excuse my French, in this part, I thought, oh, he's going to kill it. He's going to kill this part because he is a butthole. I'm like, oh my God, he is going, like, and I told him, I said, if you want to audition and put your graduation off, if you are that passionate about theater and this Matilda, do it. I don't want you to regret it. Like, if you feel this strong about auditioning, do it. I mean, you ain't got no kids. You're not, in a serious relationship. You have nobody but yourself to worry about. Do it. Do it before you settle down. Do it. So he did, and he got the part. And it's so hard for me because the people that can't see the show and see him, I wanted to film it. I wanted to film and show you guys, what his talent is like. And after the show, after the show, he was standing outside, and he was the star, one of the stars of the show. So everybody was wanting to take their picture with him and come and talk to him and introduce him and get his autograph and all that stuff. And I'm just, I'm sitting back, just kind of watching, what's going on. And um, I was like, I was just sitting there smiling, proud of him, going, "Look at him." People are asking for his autograph and picture, but there's this kid. It was so funny. This kid was scared to walk, but they were trying to walk to the car, and the kid is crying, pitching a fit, not wanting to walk by him because he's mean in the show. And the mom was like, "He's not mean in real life," but she was like bawling her eyes out, not wanting to walk by Miss Trunchbull. I mean, it was like, so there was this other girl, and the parent made her come meet him. And the little girl was like this, like her eyes were like this big. She was scared to death. And I was watching the whole thing, but Vanson was talking to someone else and taking pictures. And the little girl was like this. And I walked up to her and I said, "Hey, I'm Miss Trunchbull's mom. If she's ugly to you, I will spank her because I have the authority to spank her, and she will not be ugly to you." And the little girl was going, "Okay." Okay. I said, "Miss Trunchbull is actually a boy." And she was like, I mean, she couldn't have been 5 years old. And so, she walked up to Vanson, and Vanson goes, "Hey, I'm really nice. I'm not mean. I was just a character." And the little girl's going, she's scared to death. And her mom goes, "Can I get your picture?" And I looked at her. I said, "I'll spank him. I'll spank him if he's ugly." And so Vanson took his picture with her. And, it's hard for kids to understand a character. You know what I mean? Like at 5 years old, 6 years old, kids don't really understand a character. They think it's, true. And it was just really cool. But, today, the lesson that I want to teach you guys is not about me being an actual mother. This whole Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday was the play. And through my children's life, a lot of times their best friends would come over to the house, or, I was the type of mother that my kids' friends would come to me if there was a problem that they couldn't talk to their mom about. Like, for example, let's just say one of my son's friends thought she was pregnant and they were scared to tell their mom. They would come to me first. And I would always say, "Now listen, if this is something that I have to tell your mom before you tell me, I'm not your friend. I'm still a parent, but I'm going to guide you in the right direction. But if it's something that your mom or dad needs to know, then you have to understand that as a parent, as a adult, it is my responsibility to make sure you're safe." So I wasn't their friend. I didn't play the role of friend. I did play the role of parent, but I was always that mom that took the kids to the movies or took the kids to Atlanta to a concert. Like I was the mom in the hotel room waiting for the kids to get out of the concert so I could go pick them up. That's the kind of mom I was. And being a mom and being a positive influence to your own kids is one thing. But this weekend, as my son had all his friends around, and some of the friends were childhood friends, friends from that he's been in, like this one girl was his best friend in third grade, and she stayed his friend the entire, like, through third grade through college. They were best friends, and she was there. Her whole family was there, and people that he did his internship with at schools, they were there. Some of his workers that he works with were there. And I noticed as those people would come up to me, his friends, they would hug my neck and they would, give me a memory. You remember when this did it, when you did this with us? And I thought, you know, in life, it is important, how you raise your kids or whatever and the positive influence. But, you don't actually have to have kids to have kids. Does that make sense? Like, yes, I have 2 boys, but I realized this weekend how important it is not to play the role as mom, but to play the role as, I don't know, second mom, or uh trying to think what I'm trying to say. Uh I just looked at all those kids that I've known for a long time and how I realized the influence that I made in their life, and they're not my children. But it's almost like they are my children without being my children. Do you have kids that you've been around that it's like they're your children, but they're not your children? Um, I just realized that kids in general, they see and they listen. And whether you're a teacher, I don't know, Sunday school teacher, uh, you're, a, their best friend's parent, you're their aunt, you have no idea the impact you make in their lives. No idea. And these kids are now almost 30. And hang on. They're almost 30 and they're, starting families of their own. One of his friends just got engaged, and I'm thinking, is she old enough? I mean, oh my gosh, I've known her since he was in third grade. You know what I mean? And uh, they're starting families of their own. And I think I'm so thankful that they look at me, I guess, as their second mom. I don't know if that's the right word, but The tool that I want you to put in your pocket is what I realized this weekend is everywhere you go, there are eyes on you. There are eyes on you. And you have the opportunity to make a difference in a child's life. And I realized that this weekend. And I guess the tool that you would put in your pocket to remember that is it's in how you carry yourself everywhere you go. You know, I'm not the type of religious person that throws my religion in your face. Like, I'm not going to sit here and quote scripture and tell you that you're going to hell. I'm not that type of person that's going to do that. Why? Because it's a turnoff to me. When people start doing that, it is a huge turnoff to me. I look at people in the way they live their lives, their everyday lives. Does God shine in them everywhere they go? That's the impact that someone makes in my life. It's not the person that goes to church every Sunday or that's singing in the choir or that's a deacon in the church or that's slinging scripture everywhere, or the people that stand on the side of the road with signs up that says Jesus saves, and so that is a turnoff to me. What I look at is how someone lives their everyday life. How does someone live when they're mad? How does someone live when they feel hate in their heart? How does someone live when they have a loss of someone? How does someone live when they're going through tragedy? That's what I see. And I feel like that's the same thing that children see when they look at us. Is how we live our life. How do we carry ourselves? What do we look like in every situation that we're in? And I feel like personally, being the best version of yourself, which is what I talk about all the time, is how you get to where when you're in a moment of anger, someone does you wrong, and you're over there with diarrhea of the mouth going off. People are looking at you. Children are looking at you. Other people are looking at you. They're looking at you flip your lid. But imagine if you pulled out the tool pause. Okay, you have anger. And you're like, before I have diarrhea of the mouth, let me pause. Let me pause. And let me go to the creek and get my thoughts together. Because I'm very angry right now. And in my heart, I feel like I never want to speak to them again. Let me clear my thought process. And sometimes to clear your thought process, it's not a quick process. It could take 6 months. But before you have diarrhea of the mouth, you need to pause, even if it's for 6 months. I need to pause because if I open my mouth, I'm going to flip my lid. So I just need to sit here and I need to pause and I need a minute. I need to process this whole thing in my head. Not everyone understands that, but better to pause and have diarrhea of the mouth because people are looking at you. And I think about these kids that had their eyes on me. And when these kids were small, I was in a horrible marriage. And this particular girl, I'll just tell y'all this situation real quick. This little girl that I saw this weekend, this particular day, here in Alabama, we don't really have snowstorms, okay? I was at work and the weather makes an announcement basically that we're fixing to get hit with a storm that Alabama's not used to. So we all were leaving work. Traffic was horrible. I'm trying to get to the school to get Corbin and Vanson from school. And I get to the school and the storm starts coming. And I wasn't far from home. Well, Vanson had 2 friends there. And the mom called me and said, "Hey, do you mind picking up my kids? I can't get to the school. Traffic's too bad." So I said, "Sure." So I picked up 2 or 3 of Vanson's friends, put them in the car with me and got them home. By the time we got home, everything was ice. It was terrible. So those kids had to stay with us all weekend. Well, I lived with a husband that had severe, when I tell you severe, I mean severe OCD. Part of his OCD was money, which is why I'm so janked up when it comes to money. He got mad that I brought those kids home because we were going to have to feed them, and that costs money. So I was upstairs when he came home, and the children were downstairs. And he starts getting in my face. I'm not going to go into details, but I was on the ground when the kids came up the stairs into the door, and they were worried because I was getting so yelled at that the kids could hear them yelling. The kids got on the phone and called their parents because he was yelling at me over having to feed them. So the kids get on the cell phones and call their parents and are upset because I'm getting abused because I brought these kids home to keep them safe from a storm. I'm just going to put it like this. When everything was said and done and the storm was over and the parents came to pick up the children, the parents gave me money to feed the children. Do you know how embarrassed I was? Do you know how embarrassed I was? It was not good. And from that day, Vanson used to beg me to leave him. I used to get text messages, and I would be downstairs in the living room, and I would get text messages from Vanson, "Mother, please leave him. Mother, please leave him." It was difficult. So some of you have mentioned about being in an abusive relationship, a long-term abusive relationship. I was in that relationship for 15 years. And I'm not going to tell you what to do because it's not my place to tell you what to do. But when I actually made the decision to get out was the first day of my healing. That's when I started going to counseling 3 days a week because I was so beat down. I talked about the red chair I used to sit in with the blinds closed. It was in that house. And these children that used to come in my house, they saw that. And they've talked about it as an adult. I just thought they didn't see it. But they did. Children can see. Children can hear, and they're not dumb. And when you think, oh, they don't know because my spouse doesn't yell at me in front of the children. Oh, yeah, they hear it. They see it. They do. They do. They do. And as I looked at these kids this weekend, I thought, we as adults don't really understand the impact that we can make in someone's life. You know, I can tell you that my grandparents made such an impact in my life. Both sets of grandparents, my dad's parents and my mom's parents, I was very close to. And as I I became a grandmother when I married Shane. And today, my grandson is going to the school with me. He wanted to make some extra money, and I needed help. You have no idea the impact you're making in that kid's life. You don't think that me standing in front of those kids, that my grandson's watching me? He's watching me perform. He's watching me get out of my comfort zone. He's watching me on stage dancing with these kids. He's watching these kids call me Aunt Judy. He's watching. I don't have to say a word to him. You don't have to say a word to these kids. When you're up in front of them, they're watching you. And you may not have kids of your own, but you do. You do have kids. Because kids are watching. And I realized this weekend that it's just as important to make an impact in other kids' lives as it is to make an impact in your own kid's life. As a matter of fact, you probably make more of an impact in your non-kid, real kids' lives. You know, you probably you're kind of uncool when you're the mom. You know what I mean? Like when you're the real mom, you're kind of uncool, especially when they're teenagers. But like when you make an impact in other kids' life and you're Aunt Judy and you're not real mom. Oh, I already have earrings in. I'm sitting here looking for earrings and I already have them in. I'll change earrings. The gist of this live is the way you carry yourself, people notice. And it's not just children. People notice. So what are you going to do? You have choices. Sitting it out is not recognizing that people's got their eye. You could be in Walmart checkout line and somebody's looking at you. You can make an impact in the Walmart checkout line. So today is Monday. Remember that you have choices. Sitting it out is more or less like not remembering that people are watching you, your neighbors, your friends, your children, your grandchildren, your students, your whatever. Their eyes are on you. You may not be a biological mom, but they're looking at you and you are an impact in their life. I remember my best friend's parents being an impact in my life. So before you have like diarrhea of the mouth or do something crazy, stop and pause and remember that there are eyes on you. And the way you carry yourself is the influence that you're going to make in other people's life. That's what I call dancing. Okay, I've got to go to school. I love you guys. Thanks for joining me this morning. My video will come out tomorrow, and I will see you Wednesday morning.